Now that we are in our Jupyter notebook, let's rename this as problems. So let's start with a very easy examples and then jump into quite complex examples and then wrap up this section. So let's start with a problem statement where we have to find the sum of all the numbers in a list. So this is our problem statement. Let's take this as question number 1. Question 1. In this, I'm not going to discuss exactly about or try to solve out the problems much, but probably tell you how to approach a problem. So see, first of all, you can just use an Python method, that is sum. This method is very much useful, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, and it will just give up the solution. This is one approach. Okay, things Python make things much more easier, but let's say you are restricted to not to use this one, then how to use it off? You have to create out a function by yourself. Okay, so first of all, we have to create a function. Let's say def. Let's name this as s or summation, and inside of it, let's say I have a list. Now the function has been created. Every time I call it, it will just give back me the sum of it. Now how to do it? So what are the steps? First of all, the first step will be get a list. Step 1, get a list. Again, what is step 2? Step 2 will be iterate through the list. What is the third thing? Step 3, start adding one item at a time in a new variable. At the end, step 4, return back the new variable. That is the sum variable. Okay, so let's get it. So first step is already complete. Get a list that we will be getting out from this argument. Okay, now what I should be doing? Iterate through the list. Okay, so for item in LST, it will let me iterate one by one. Each item will be assigned to my item variable. Now what I should be doing? Start adding one item at a time in a variable and reassign it to that variable. Okay, so what I mean is, let's create a new variable, add equal to 0. Initially add is equal to 0. Okay, now what I should be doing, each time I have a variable, so I will be doing something like this, plus item. So what exactly is happening over here? Every time I get an item, let's say first item is 1, I will add it with the previous value of add, that is 0. 0 plus 1 is add, that is 1, and I will add that back to our add keyword. Okay, that is the add variable. Now again, in iteration number 2, we will be having 2, item will be having the value 2, and then what it will be doing, item equals to 2, and what was the previous add value? That was 1. 1 plus 2, 3, and we will reassign this one to add. After this is done, our work is complete. We will just return it, return add. That's all we have to do. If I pass the same thing over here with my summation function, so I will be getting the sum of the numbers. Okay, so this is one of the approach, and this is the approach that you should be doing. So what all I did, I wrote out all the steps, whatever steps I needed out to solve this problem. Then what I did, I went through one after the other. I solved the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, then check if it is working or not. After that, I have just call out the same thing. So this was an easy problem. Let's jump into quite a bit of a tough problem than this. Now let's check. So let's take question to check if a number is palindrome. For let me change it to markdown. For people who don't know what is a palindrome, okay. So palindrome number is, let me write it palindrome. Palindrome number. Let me give some examples. So examples will be, I have 1 2 3 3 2 1. So this number is a palindrome number, then 1 2 1. So if you read it from the left hand side and if you read it from the right hand side, both will be same. Okay, so these are known as palindrome numbers. Similarly, we have palindrome strings. Okay, so how to check if a number is palindrome or not? So again, how to do it up? First of all, one of the ways that I should be telling you that you can reverse out a number from a general algorithm, but let's do it with the power of Python. Okay, in C++, you have to write an algorithm to reverse out. Okay, you have to remainder, divide it up, allow the remainder to some variable, multiply it, and something big stuff is going on in the backend while you are doing it with C++ or Java. But let's do it in Python just by using the Python methods. Okay, so I have, let's take the number def check. Inside of this, I will be having num. Now what I'm going to do is, as you know that we can convert and reverse and string, but if we try to reverse a string number, that is not possible. So this is again not possible because int is not scriptable, right? So what we can do is, let's convert this. Let's convert this to a string. So str 1 2 3. So what I have 1 2 3, and if I do -1, so I will get the reverse of a number, right? We are just converting out the number and reversing it off. So same thing we are going to do over here. We are going to check if the reverse number is equal to what we have. So if str of num is equal to, we will just copy out this, copy, paste, and I'll just write num over here. Or else I can just write return. That's it. If I check, if I pass some number 1 2 3 4, it will return false. Check pal, rename it, check pal. If I pass out an palindrome number, let's say 1 2 1, it will return true. Now what exactly is going on? I know I have written it in very short, okay, so you might not be able to break it out, but I'm here to help you guys out, right? So I'm taking the number, converting it to a string value. Why? Because strings are easier to reverse it, right? You cannot reverse an integer. Okay, if you want to reverse an integer, you can just write off the algorithm. You can just write off the algorithm, and that should be just fine. Okay, so we are not just going to discuss much about the algorithm to reverse out a number. We are just going to go through the Python steps, which makes things much easier. So I am just checking if the string of the number, I have converted the number to a string, is equal to, that is the reverse of the number. Okay, this will just reverse of our number. Check both of them are equal or not. If both of them are equal, it is going to return true, else it is going to return false. So let's take this again, false. Oops. Let's see this, check pal. Let's check one more, check pal. If you pass a string, let's see what happens. If I pass out a string over here, it will also do the same thing. So that's the power of this. I'm just converting everything to a string. If this is, obviously if it is previously it was a string, then it will be remain a string, right? But it is a number, then it will just convert back to a string. So you can check this for other things like mommy is again an unpalindrome number, it is not a palindrome string. So that's how you can check out what is palindrome and what isn't palindrome. Okay, so these were two problems that we solved. In our next video we are going to solve a very much bigger problem, and we are going to go through the steps one by one and solve it from the base of it.